Today we are going to discuss culture as a way of life. So by culture, we mean that we'll take an example like touching our elders' feet, like giving the main seat of the center seat of the dining table to our father or our grandfather. These are parts of culture. When we talk about culture in sociological terms, we can say that when we have acquired a kind of taste, for example, when we have acquired a liking for very fine literature, very fine music, some form of dance, these are the things we have acquired in the process of living. So, how we have acquired these things? We have either learned it from our parents, from our peers, teachers, or we have perhaps seen it in a movie, a music that I liked, maybe some jazz music that I liked, or some kind of other things that we read in books, novels. So they create an impact on our minds and we take it as a positive things and it becomes a part of our personality. So this is culture. The society guides our culture. The society tells us that as a girl or as a person, if you're going to the temple, do not wear clothes that are revealing in nature. So, this is a guidance given by society, and it is our culture, of course. If we are paying our tributes or our respect to somebody, this is also our culture. We keep on adapting these things as we grow up. We see others doing it. I see my mom touching her mother's feet, so I would also touch my mother's feet and my mother's mother, that is my grandmother's feet. So we learn culture and it becomes a part of who we are. It can be anything, okay? Like I said, it can be your liking, it can be your behavior, it can be your attitude, good manners. All of these become a part of you and it is nothing but culture. Now if this is culture, then what is unculture? So this is a very negative word and should not be used, but just to enhance your understanding, there is a cartoon here which tells about the difference in cultured and uncultured. So the person asks, what's the opposite of cultured? So the other person who looks very well groomed and is very literate or educated, that kind of person would say that uncultured is someone who is uncivilized, uneducated, unpolished. So, how do we become polished? We become polished by making ourselves more aware, more educated, more learned. So, that is how we become cultured. Now, coming to the elements of culture. So, see, culture can be material or non material. Material, as the name suggests, is man made. Man made things can be whatever we see around us, buildings, infrastructure, technology, tools, and non material would be non material is which we cannot see, which changes very quickly. Like my laptop and my phone change very quickly because as soon as a new version of my phone or new upgrade would come, I'll change my phone. But will I also change my belief that quickly? No. Will I change my principles that quickly? No. So these are non material culture which I've learned from a really long time, like my customs, my habits. So I won't change these very quickly, therefore, they are non material. Now, coming to the characteristics of culture, we know that when we learn something, we gain knowledge out of it. So, when we learn about a culture, we gain our knowledge and we enhance our knowledge. We can either learn it directly from our parents, from our teachers, from whoever we admire, or indirectly. Indirectly can be if I read something in a book, if I saw some actress doing something, if I'm inspired from a Hollywood movie where a person is wearing very different kind of clothes and eating in a very different way, so I might be inspired and I'll inculcate that habit into my culture or my personality, therefore. So it is different with the difference in societies. The difference would be like the society or the culture of USA would be very different from the culture of India. There can be a quantitative aspect of culture as well. So now we have only discussed the qualitative, but can there be a quantitative aspect? Yes. We can say this by telling how many share the same culture. Therefore, we can find out the quantitative aspect. There is also a control over the physiological response by culture. That means, like we discussed, not disregarding our elders, not wearing a certain type of clothes in the temple, not using a certain kind of language. These are the types of controls that the society has put by culture, and it controls the response of individuals. We can also take the example of taboos like gay marriages, perhaps, which are accepted in some societies but are taboos in another societies. Next is culture also defines situations. Now, culture has told us what to do and when to do. When we learn this process of learning and becoming, it helps us guide our attitude, behavior, goals, and therefore it molds our personality. Only with culture, acquiring taste, refining ourselves, polishing our personality is when we become the best versions of ourselves. Now, can culture be changed? Yes, culture can be changed. How? Natural, like with the passage of time. Earlier, when we think that parents and children had a very strict relationship, they did not share many things with each other. But as the time changed, the parents and children, they started becoming more and more frank. Culture change can be man-made in the terms with the change of technology, perhaps with the change of advancements in the society, and environmental. For example, when the British ruled India, they made and introduced us with many of the attributes of their own culture, which even after the Britishers left still remained in India. For example, modern education. Therefore, the culture change can be environmental as well. Now, coming to the agents of cultural change. Now, who can impose or who can bring about the cultural change? It is same as socialization. When we are very young, we look up to our family members and we imitate them. So, family is the first and foremost agent of cultural change. They tell us what to do, when to do, how to do, and most importantly, what not to do. Second is peer group. As the child becomes a little more older, he starts going out, he starts going to the parks to play with his little friends, and he sees what kind of behavior they are exhibiting, and he learns a little more. He starts to learn greeting the other parent, he starts saying hello, namaste, or whatever. Then the child goes to school and learns from his teachers, from other school friends, and when the individual finally starts getting a comprehension and his start mind develops, therefore that is the time when he gets influenced by other factors like mass media, what he sees on television, what he reads in the news magazine articles, he inculcates that as well. Now there are several terms from the exam point of view that are associated with culture. We'll discuss them one by one. First is cultured individual. So the individual who has learned and acquired knowledge and then refined taste, that is known as a cultured individual. Subculture, a culture within culture. That means if there is a group of 50 students, some are Bengalis, some are Rajasthani, some are Gujaratis. So there is a culture, but there is also culture within culture, because all of these persons belonging from different states will have their own culture. Next is cultural diffusion. This term was given by Clark Whistler. This is when we borrow something from another society. For example, we often try to imitate the ideologies from West. For example, coffee is given superior value than masala chai, perhaps. So this is cultural diffusion. Acculturation. Acculturation is when we learn from others' culture. This is acculturation. That means if I went somewhere, perhaps to a new city or a new state, new country, I liked something from their culture and I tried to learn it and imbibe it in my life. This is acculturation. Next is enculturation. That is learning our own culture. So the culture is a very vast term. It is not possible to learn everything or every part of what culture is comprised of. So when we learn and enhance our understanding of our own culture, this is enculturation. Next is ethnocentrism. Centrism means center of. So When I think my culture is the center of all cultures or superior or better than others' culture, this is ethnocentrism. The opposite of this is cosmopolitanism, where I have tolerance and I accept everyone's culture. I do not think of any culture as superior or inferior. Next is assimilation. When the minority culture, for example, if there is a group of 20 people and only 2 are from some other culture and the rest 18 are from the same culture, so the minority culture becomes a part of the majority culture. For example, if I am a Rajasthani and I go to a place like Bihar and everybody speaks Bihari there, everybody speaks in the language of Bihar, Bhojpuri, and dress up in a way and talk to each other, and the culture is same. So I would also like to become a part of them, and therefore there is an assimilation when the minority culture, that is I am the only person, become a part of the majority culture. Second is cultural relativism. Relativism is when I compare. So, the different part here is in relativism, when you compare two cultures, you do not put into your own viewpoint here. What you do is you think of a country, say USA, you think of a culture that is prevalent there, and you think it from the perspective of USA only, not the perspective of India. Okay, something that is normal and okay in US might not be okay here, but you do not see it from the point of view of your culture. Next is contra culture. This is contrary to the mainstream culture. Mainstream is the acceptable form, and contra culture is which takes a different path. For example, hippies, sadhus, they lead a different life. Their cultures, their education, what they've learned is entirely different from the mainstream culture. Next is sensate culture. Sensate is what we see through our eyes. For example, infrastructure, buildings, technology that we can see. Culture area, where one culture is dominant in an area, this is known as culture area. Next is cultural objectivity, when a lot of people who live in the same place at the same time and have common interests, but with the change in socio-cultural and political situations, their culture also changes. For example, at the time of corona, you can say some people have the habit of shaking their hands when we meet. But due to the situations in the society, they cannot shake their hands when they meet. So, what they'll do, they'll either just greet each other with a namaste or something like that. So, they change their culture according to the requirement. Next is xenophobia. It is a belief that some other culture, for example, the Western culture or the Western ideology, would pollute the Indian culture. So, this is a fear. This is known as xenophobia. Now, what is the difference between culture and civilization? So, culture is a mixed bag of what we are. What we have learned over the period of time is what we are, and that is culture. Civilization is what we have around us. All that we have made around us is known as civilization. Now, coming to the questions. Question number 1 is transmission of traits from one culture to another is sociologically termed as, so this is enculturation, we just discussed it. Second question is the view that without using the values of one's own culture to judge all the others is known as, the answer will be cultural relativism. We see other culture from their own point of view, not ours. The last question is ethnocentrism refers to, again, when we talk about centrism, that means center of. So we think that our culture is superior. So the answer will be C. I hope you were able to understand. Thank you for watching.